And welcome to the Edstoria Chat and Play with me, Abigail Joseph. And today I'm so excited because it is our special guest edition of the Chat and Play. And with me today, I have my good friend, Michelle. I'm going to bring her onto the stage now. And she'll be here soon. There she is. Hi, Michelle.
Hi,
Welcome.
thanks for having me.
I'm gonna flash. I'm gonna get fancy. Look. Ooh.
Ooh, I love it. We're on
uh,
the
right. So here we are. Michelle and I go way back. We first met. Oh my gosh, feels like forever. I don't know. But we started at the same school at the same time and ended at the same school at the same time.
Yeah, we
It's funny.
did. That's right.
Um, but
Was that
I wish,
2000,
go
was it
ahead.
2014, I think? 2014, maybe?
2014, 15, maybe? I think a little
Okay.
later.
Okay.
Yeah. Or no, that we started. Yeah, probably started 2014 and then left 2017 or something like that.
I think so. I think that's right. Yeah. Something.
Oh, wow. So it's been a while. And I am so excited to have, I'm going to take this thing off. It's fun, but it's funny. I'm all like, it's so distracting. Shiny squirrel. Uh, that Michelle, when we were at the same school together, was working in the kindergarten, right?
Mhm.
But your background is in preschool, early childhood education, and there's so much that we can link to early childhood education and play. Ed Story was all about come create. Oh, right there. Play, create. No, on this side, I always get it mixed up. Play, create, collaborate. And so I would love this week, I've been focusing on collaboration, and the 6-word story for this week was The Village Only Thrives with Collaboration. And it's actually funny that the picture there is filled with little preschool kids or young kids anyway, collaborating on this beautiful mural together. And I really would love to get your thoughts. If you could just tell us a little bit about your background, and then maybe we can talk a little bit about play and how that play of younger children, we can embody some of that as adults.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. So, kind of like my history, like kind of where I
Yeah, just
started.
like how did you become an early childhood educator?
Yeah.
What
Oh,
drew you
that's a good question. Okay. So I think just I just remember as a young child just always very being very interested in the neighborhood children who were my age, but also like the younger children. Like I just always was very interested in younger children. And as I grew up, family members were in education. When I went to college, I don't know, it was the 80s and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Education just kind of seemed like the right path. And I knew that I wanted younger, like I just felt connected to younger children. I think just one of those things. Anytime I was out in public, I just felt like I always had a connection with young children. They always kind of looked at me, they always kind of came to me. Maybe there was just this sense of trust that they felt around me. Um, so I went down that path. And interestingly enough, when I did my student teaching and all that, it was in very traditional types of settings. And that didn't resonate at all. And I was like, oh, what did I do? I don't like being in the front of the classroom and being a director, right? Like oftentimes in that very traditional school setting, it's a very top down. But while I was in school, I also taught at a preschool. So anyway, I ended up discovering a few years after graduation, I discovered a very progressive school district that was very highly influenced by John Dewey and the preschools of Reggio Emilia. And so I really discovered this whole new approach that I didn't learn about as an
Mhm.
undergrad. And it felt much more comfortable. It felt much more familiar. And the big things that that progressive school district really focused on was meaningful, authentic learning experiences. And I feel like play was also, a big part of that. So when the children were all in all the grades, like from kindergarten on up and all the grades, play was a big part of that experience. So the children were actually doing as opposed to learning or being taught or memorizing. And so for me, that just seems like a big connection to play. So that really was the start of my journey on learning more about what does it mean to what does progressive education mean, and then learning more about the preschools of Reggio Emilia. And I feel like what I learned from that experience as well was just the value and how to value children's play as work, and that they're
Mm.
really, it's through those experiences that they're developing skills, that they're learning about the world. And I even read something recently where you make more neuron connections when you're playing as opposed to just trying to learn something. Like you have to revisit it a bunch of times if you're just reading it or you're hearing about it. Whereas if you're playing it or you're doing it, it connects, you make that connection much faster. So anyway, I got a little distracted.
But I love that idea of, and I don't think we value it enough, especially as adults, that play can be
Mhm.
work. Play is work, actually. It is hard work. And I think that's a great connection that you bring to us as adults and as educators, because I really think that we, especially as you get up in the grade levels that you're teaching, that you get more and more distance from play when actually you really need to get closer to play, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, I just got chills when you said that. Yes. And it's so funny because I taught kindergarten and junior kindergarten. That's what we called it back in that school district, but it was really preschool, but we called it junior kindergarten because it was at the public school. But after teaching for about 10 years, I ended up going into higher education and teaching in a college program that was focused on early childhood education certification. And we also had a huge focus on those preschools of Reggio Emilia. And I remember while I was teaching those courses, I mean, I never planned to teach adults. I didn't know one thing about teaching adults. But one of the things I remember bringing to my practice was we need to play too. Now, I don't mean play like a child, because I always feel like if I went to conferences and they made the adults do childlike things, I hated it. It felt really uncomfortable. I didn't want to sing songs that you'd sing in your class. Like that just felt weird, right? So
Yeah.
I don't mean that. I mean, honestly, like taking it up a level to adult play, to adult messing about, so that you can get that perspective of play and you need your hands on. I think I especially your hands on and doing so that you can understand the concepts. And I remember like when I taught math methods,
Hmm.
that's when it really like connected even again bigger, that these students needed to revisit those early math concepts in an adult but playful way to really understand what are those concepts, what does it mean when we say these are the big ideas behind a pattern,
Hmm.
or what are the different ways that we explore shapes and why are shapes important, what is it about numbers and number sense. Like you really have to do it to understand it. It's not, you just can't memorize that stuff. It doesn't make sense if you're just hearing it and someone's
Right.
telling you.
Yes, and as adults, in order to give that to our students, we need to practice it ourselves. And so that's actually partially why I've edstoria came to being, is that I was at a time where I was trying to rediscover like what I wanted to do next. And part of this process was unearthing this edstoria, and it's still evolving. But what it really has come down to is this whole idea of just play, more play and creation. The more we do it, the more our neurons are going to fire, the more ideas we're going to have. And our teaching practices are just going to become that more exciting for us because we're just recreating every time and iterating on what we do.
Yes, that creativity is so important, isn't it? And it brings joy, you know? It should be joyful. It should be fun. Learning is really fun if you allow it to be, if you make
Yeah.
the room for it to be, and you create the kind of environment that makes room for that. And getting rid of that idea that a mistake is wrong, that there's one way to do this, and if you don't do it right the first time, then that means you don't know it yet. But instead, like, honoring that mistake, honoring that iteration as just a try. Well, let's reflect on it now. Well, how could we do it differently next time? What did we understand then that we now want to change going forward? You have to make room for that and value that. And I
Yeah.
think that's what play is about, right? Playfulness, creativity, hands-on experiences.
Is valuing that. So we're going to move to the kind of next segment. I love this introduction format. So this has been evolving completely. And so I love the fact that I get to banter more with my special guests and then eventually dive into the fun play stuff. Um, and this week, because we're at the end of the month, I also wanted to give us a chance to just acknowledge and celebrate our accomplishments for the month of October. I feel like as educators, we just keep going. We're all like, what's the next thing? Where's the next milepost? What do I need to have our teachers do or our students do, right? And we never stop to say, hey, let's celebrate some of the cool things that we've done. So, and then we'll get to play with our super powered monsters. I don't know how that'll go, but I'm super excited to see where it takes us. So before we move into our super powered monsters, let's think about one thing that we did this month that we want to celebrate with each other. And you know, I haven't thought about it yet, so it might take us a little time. But it shouldn't even be that hard, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm sure there's many things you've done.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
I think for me, one of my big accomplishments for this month is so when we were at Nueva, they had this, the eighth graders had this recital project, right? The passion projects that they did. And they kind of did them in multiple grades in a variety of different ways. So at my current school, I want to return back as this director of learning, innovation, and design. Um, I reclaimed just as I had left the first time, which was to go to Nueva. They started a passion project for their eighth graders, and they call it Discovery X. And it was something I was going to start, but then I left. So it started, and when I came back, I kind of fell back into my hands, which was kind of fun and exciting. And so my big accomplishment for October is that the program is getting started this week on Wednesday. The kids are all in groups. I got all the faculty in place to help out. And I'm super excited because over the course of the 3 years that I've been at my school, the program was slowly dwindling because our eighth graders are just busy, man. They're super, super busy. So this year, since we're in remote, I was like, all right, we'll just open it up to sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. And we have 70 kids volunteering to participate in this passion project program. And it's so exciting. And I just can't wait to see what they do. Also, because we're in this weird place, I'm hoping that there'll be very minimal attrition because what are they going to do? Right. So
Yes.
hopefully they'll all like really follow through with whatever it is they need. But also feel at the school I am, which is highly academic centered and very academic focused, that these kids need the opportunity to play and explore and be curious. So I'm so
Yeah.
excited that 70 of them are excited to do this and come on this journey. And I got it all situated and we're ready to go. So that was my big accomplishment for this month.
I love it. Congratulations and kudos to you. It sounds amazing. And I wish my children could be experiencing that with you because, I mean, again, it's something that's playful, it's meaningful. They're choosing to do it. And I know you, and I know you're going to make it super interesting and they're going to learn a lot through that experience. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
How about you?
Okay, so mine is basic, very basic, but also kind of a big deal. I would say mine is the fact that so I'm head of a preschool now, and coming back to school after all that's happened, you know, we are in person, so we
Mm,
are on campus, and we've had to close a few times for air quality, but we're there and we are fully going, and I have both of my classrooms filled, so we're fully enrolled with our smaller class sizes. All, you know, we created a lot of modifications and
yeah.
updates to make sure it's as safe as possible, but we are going, and we've been since after Labor Day, we've been open and the children are coming. And I think, you know, so that's like the big thing is that we did it. Like it took a lot of thinking over the summer, a lot of iterations, like rethinking, how could we do this? How could we do this? What could we do? And honestly, it feels like a little bit like we reinvented the wheel a lot. We're spending a lot of time outside, but thankfully we have a glorious, amazing environment to be in because we're on a national park and we're at a children's museum. So what
Mm,
more could you for, but
yeah.
it does take a lot of extra effort on the part of the teachers to be mobile, right? To be taking things outside, um, even though we're still in our classrooms too, but both.
Yeah.
I would say that's like a huge thing. And even though it's not just the month of October, I feel like it's been going now long enough that I feel like we did
Mm,
it. We did it. We're
mhm.
here and we're going. And our communities are starting, the communities of the children are starting to really come together
Mm,
and feel like a community. You know how that takes a little bit of time. Um, so yeah, that's
definitely.
my happy thing for
That's
this month.
beautiful. Yay. Those are huge accomplishments for the fall. I mean, and it feels like we've been going at it for a while, but it's just October, so it's only been 2 months, but it
I know,
feels
right?
like forever and a
Doesn't
day.
it? Right? No, we counted the number of days we've actually had the children at school, and I can't remember now what it was, but let's say it was when we did it, it was like 25, and we're like, well, no wonder, like that's very few days. So
No,
we have to recognize that. Yeah, we've done a
yeah.
lot in a little bit of time.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that running a program in person is a huge undertaking and accomplishment. Right now at our school, we're about to move to a new campus next year, the middle school division. And that campus that we're moving to, they used to have a preschool on it, but and when they first bought the property, it was to eventually move one of the bigger divisions to that property. But in the interim, they had started this preschool to just utilize the property. So
Mhm.
they've closed the preschool, but we have a TK program, and the TK program is on the middle school campus. And so they're in person. And the other day I was on campus, and actually some boxes got delivered to my room that should have been sent to the TK person. And just seeing them outside, and like I think every older campus should have some connection with lower
Yes.
grades.
Yes, 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 yes. I'm with you on that 100%. Because again, I can't remember your 6 word story to exact
Um,
word. We were
let's bring
talking
it
about,
up. The village only thrives with collaboration.
right? And so when you think about collaboration and the work that it takes to collaborate, I feel like those mixed ages, right? If there's opportunities for people, for children to be together in mixed age groupings, that only helps you, develop that empathy and develop, that understanding of collaboration with others, and start to recognize and appreciate and value others' ideas. And at different ages, the different of ideas that are going to come to the table,
It's a
it would
big
just give so
thing.
many opportunities for that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's get to playing. So I'm so excited about the superpowered monster thing. I don't know where it's going to take us, but hey. Uh, so I cultivated some prompts for us because I know sometimes if you coming up with things just out of your head is not the easiest thing to do. So having a little inspired something that inspires you makes it a little bit easier to start getting those ideas churning. So my thought behind not just creating a monster, but a super powered monster is that one where Halloween is coming up. I don't know what that's going to look like for people, but that'll be interesting in itself. But this idea of we are in the season of sustain for edstoria. And so it's all about like, how are you going to sustain yourself through the fall? And what are the things you can put into place to really sustain you? And I thought, wow, if I had this monster that had this superpower, maybe it would sustain me in some way to think about like what is the superpower that I need to get me through the rest of the season through this to December before we head into winter. So that's the idea. And those are the inspirational prompts. And I guess before drawing the monster, you might want to think about what your superpower that you want your monster to have is. And monster can have multiple superpowers, right? Um, and as we were talking, prepping for coming on, I was talking about how fall, I grew up in New Jersey, and that is the one thing that I miss about, well, there are many things I miss about the East Coast, but fall, hands down, the best season, and we don't get it here in California. There is something about the fall, the colors of the leaves and the crunchiness. And then there's this moment where you step outside and the air is just this nice, crisp, clean feeling. Nothing like it out here in California. So if I had the ability to fly, I could transport myself back there when I needed that sense of fall to like ground me. So I want my monster to be able to fly as one of its superpowers. And I'm going to, well, I'm gonna leave this up and maybe what superpower are you thinking about?
Oh, me?
Yeah. Sorry.
I
Yes.
didn't realize. Um, well, as you were talking, I was thinking about time, and I actually just participated in a little workshop earlier today, and we had to create something. And someone was talking about creating this like room that they could go to where it was like an escape from time, so they wouldn't lose any time, but they could do something that they really enjoyed.
Mm,
So I think my superpower would be that, like it would be something where I can step out of time and have this space and this time to do something enjoyable and at leisure, and even if it's taking a nap, whatever it is, but something that is peaceful or brings me
mm,
joy. And then I could step back and still be in the same time so
yeah.
that um our world.
Right, right, and just continue, but you come back and you're kind of refreshed and rejuvenated.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm gonna hide the inspiration for superpowers so that I can bring up my little sketchbook here, and we can just talk and draw our monsters, and then we'll see what we come up with.
Okay.
And that's the fun part. And I kind of like the little monsters that are actually the one that looks like a little, I don't know. I can't even describe the shape. I think I just need to draw it and see what happens. So I am going to, and if you, when you are following along at home, drawing your monster, I encourage you to just go with whatever comes to your mind and be okay with what comes down on paper, because it's all about play and stretching your notions of what play is. And so I really enjoy the creatures that might have some extra eyes. I feel like my dude needs like some cool antennas to be able to tune in to what's happening in the world. So that might be the extra superpower, is the antlers that help you tune in. And it's going to have some pretty big eyeballs, I guess. Um, I kind of like the idea of the eyeballs that are not of the same size. Um, and yeah, I'm digging him so far. I don't know why he's a him. Could be a shim, her, they. I don't know. And I kind of like the grin that's kind of edgy. So I like this grin. And I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna get my red pen, because capes need to be red. I don't know why. No, capes don't need to be red. I'm gonna step out of the comfort zone and not go with the normal. I'm gonna diverge and say that my guy's cape is going to be. I'm really in love with this blue-ish color. It's like
Ooh,
it reminds me of the ocean.
that's
And
pretty. Is it the
actually,
same pen?
yes, these are the best.
Aren't they the best, Abigail? I use them too, but I didn't know they come in colors.
They come in. Oh my gosh, Michelle, you need to see. So,
I can't wait.
um, I bought a pack of 12, and it came with all these different colors.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
Yes, so you need to get them in all the colors because it's so
I'm
much fun.
absolutely going to get them in all the colors because this is the only pen I use now. I
Yeah,
won't use.
I love how it flows. It's so nice, and it's great because they're refillable.
Mhm.
I haven't gotten to the point of having to refill the colors yet, so I don't know the availability of the refills for the colors, but I imagine they would have them. Um,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
It's so
so
fun too to think. I feel like even just having those variety of colors can be so inspiring to play too, right? And create.
yeah, yeah, it really does um, create this ability also to like tune into what is great for you, right? So in the moment, right? I was like, oh, a cave should be red. I'm like, but no, lately I've been feeling this sea color because it just makes me feel grounded, right? So my guy is going to have a lovely cape that is this sea green. And that's going to allow him, allow him, her, him, her, I don't know,
Shim.
um,
I like the
decide
shim.
the gender later. To fly around and observe and get back in time. I like the element, the notion of being able to have a halt time, but not a halt, like time, halt time, do what you need to do, and then just kind of regroup and get back to what you're doing, which is really fun. And then, Michelle, I do like to sometimes bring in my colored pencils. So, because you can't really color large areas with the pen. So then I usually end up getting my colored pencils and using those to color in areas because it's a lot easier to do that. And which is also fun. One week we were talking about just colored pencils and crayons. Crayons are a thing that, well, at school I have them, but I don't think I have any crayons at home. Uh, but
I don't love using them. I don't
you
love
don't
using crayons. I like
to.
oil pastels, or I like colored pencils. Crayons,
No,
I don't know. I feel like crayons aren't as smooth. Like, I don't know. I'm not,
they're not very smooth. They're a different. They're their own thing, right? Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. It depends on what you're searching out, right? Like what kind of experience or tactile experience are you wanting to have? So
exactly. Yeah. So, and these colored pencils are kind of, I don't know. I think I just found them like at Michael's one day. Michael's, the store you can get lost in. Oh my gosh,
yes.
you can totally get
Thank
lost.
goodness for the coupons.
Yes, right? Because
Educators discount.
you could definitely get lost in the Michaels for sure. Um, so yeah. Um, trying to figure out what else my monster dude might need. I like the idea that these guys have feet. I'm gonna give him some feet. I'm gonna give him. Actually, I'm gonna give him purple feet. Um, so he's got some purple feet. So, are you all at the preschool having Halloween?
So we traditionally don't dive deep into holidays like that. I mean, we recognize it and we talk about it with the children if they bring it up, but we don't really we don't really do those kinds of celebrations at school. Um, we recognize that maybe not every family celebrates it, so that's
Yeah,
one of the reasons why. So you want to be kind of aware of being inclusive. Another reason why is that we know that they're doing it outside of school, and so we don't have to. You know what I mean? Like it
yeah,
could really overtake your classroom if you do that. With the really really young children too, I know like some schools you wear your Halloween costumes to school, and
yeah,
and I'm not saying that isn't fun or acceptable, but if we have 3, 4, 5-year-olds wearing their costumes to school, it gets really complicated. It changes the energy to where it can sometimes be so overwhelming to
yeah,
them. um, and then it also makes it hard to go to the bathroom. And already that's self-help skills are already something they're working on, and that would just really complicate and make things more challenging. So all that being said, it doesn't mean we don't talk about it, we don't acknowledge it, but We are also in a children's museum, and the children's museum does celebrate it. So for Monday and Tuesday, the museum is not open to the public, but they have what they call Goblin Week. And so the whole museum is set up with experiences and it's decorated. So this year, because we're there and because we know kids they aren't going to be going trick or treating, or their experience with
Yes.
Halloween is going to be kind of minimal. We get to explore the whole museum on
Oh,
those 2 days.
nice.
So we are celebrating it, but just
Yeah.
not in the way, in a traditional kind of way.
Right. Right. Which I think is great. I think this idea that, outside of school, they're probably going to be doing so much with it and um, disrupting the flow for this thing that not everyone may not be participating in anyway is smart. So
Yeah, and whether it's a cultural thing or just the age of the child, sometimes young children, it doesn't feel good to them. You know what I mean?
yeah,
We're just trying to honor what seems to happen naturally with the children that we have that year.
yeah, and that totally makes sense. So this is my monster, my super powered monster. Actually, I'm gonna add one more thing because as you said, the whole stopping time, I was feeling that, and I felt was feeling that in addition to flying, my monster needed the ability to do something related to stopping time. So I'm gonna give him a magic wand. I'm gonna give my monster some type of wand, which I've been feeling a lot of. Where am I gonna put this wand? This dude does not have arms. Oh wait, I'm gonna first give her some arms. I'm gonna give her some arms, which I think look like ears, but we'll just go. And then I'm gonna put my wand in this hand. And he's gonna have a wand. And there. And then the wand is going to be green for whatever reason. And oh my gosh. So I will tell you that this time every week has become my favorite time. Sometimes I don't know if I want to do it or not. And many times, as I was telling you earlier, I kind of end up just talking to myself because it's a new thing and I'm trying to figure out how to, advertise it. I don't even know if this time of day is a good time of day. I know that people watch it afterwards, so that's good too, I guess. And I just changed from Facebook to YouTube, so that's a thing. But I tell you, every time I do it and then I finish, I'm all like, I needed that.
Yeah. Right?
So it's been really lovely to just each week know that I have a little bit of time to um, play and just relax. And it's only, I don't usually spend what we spent 15 minutes doing this. Since you're here today, the show's going a little bit longer, but um, yeah, and it's always so much fun. So that is my hope is that educators will find this and spend 10 to 15 minutes a week. That's it. And it just kind of makes you and then it's something you can go back to during the week and be like, I did that. That was fun. And think about how you can bring more of that into your life. So, do you have something that you're willing to hold up to the camera?
Oh goodness. Okay, I did do something while we were talking. I'll do my best to hold it up. Oh, wait,
Go.
I don't know
Oh,
what.
yep, yep. Ooh, ooh. Love it. I love
So
it.
you can see they were sort of similar because but I was drawing it at the same time, thinking similar, thinking differently. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that was
great.
fun. Thank you.
Wasn't that
Thank you for
fun?
the opportunity. Yeah, absolutely. And that is something that, when we talked earlier, you asked me an October accomplishment. What I didn't mention is that doing all of that and getting to where we are at the school, I wasn't feeling a lot of joy because a lot of it felt so logistical. Like it felt
Mm,
like, health and safety, enrolling because it's a business and you have to make sure the business is able to stay open. Let's be
yeah,
realistic, right? It just didn't, there wasn't a lot of joyful feeling because the joy comes in when you're present in the moment, when you're, listening to the stories the children are telling you or with the children, or when I'm listening to the teachers reflect on what happened. Like that's when the joy happens. Just haven't had time for a lot of that because we're just so busy making sure we're safe and healthy and things are going.
yeah,
Thank you for this. This is something that that's my next like accomplishment I want to make for November is joy. Like find the joy, bring the joy.
mm,
Time for reflection, time for joy, time for
yes,
play.
yes. I love it. And that is a great note for us to end on. So go out there and make some time for joy and reflection and a little bit of play. And thank you, Michelle, for joining me, being my special guest this week on the edstoria Chat and Play. And I hope that you all tune in next week. Bye.
Thank you.